Thank you very much for joining us on Skyy TV. It's hot seat again and again. I have a guest. I have a guest who is a big part of the Ghanaian media, but disappointingly, he is not a journalist. Well, but he's a publisher of a newspaper. He is a lawyer as well and a politician. In his political life, he can say that he was one of the people who suffered physical abuse during the revolutionary period of Ghana. My guest is also a legislator and works, well, his duties are in the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana. He's a popular figure, very popular this time especially because he is in the midst of the controversies about the nomination and the appointment of President Kufuor's nominees. In fact, he is the chairman of the Appointments Committee, and therefore the name is Freddie Blay, First Deputy Speaker of Parliament. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us on Skyy TV.
Thank you, Philip.
So is your name simply Freddie Blay?
Well, people prefer to call me Freddie Blay, but of course Freddie Blay is part of my name. My name is Frederick Westmew Amablay.
Westmew
Amablay.
What kind of name is Westmew?
Well, the Westmew is a Twi name, Wesimewu. It appears that it's from a grandfather who apparently was living in Prestia, the mining town of Prestia, and there was some news back home that he was dead. When he came back, people were running away from him. So he became Blay. He used to be simply Blay. Now people call him affectionately Blay Westmew, Blay Westmew. So the name got stuck. And that's the name that I was named after, Blay Westmew.
I see. Well, people don't probably know this about you, but you are not afraid of any question.
Well, I wouldn't say who isn't afraid of any question. Some questions could be embarrassing, some could knock you out. But maybe if it's the more embarrassing it is, the better. Maybe it will be in a position, you'll be in a position to rise up to the challenge, and I feel at home more when I don't know where the question is. Then I feel a bit more.
So let me see if you feel a bit comfortable, sir. You're a big political figure, but your voice doesn't show it. What about your voice?
Well, a friend of mine has said I have a hoarse voice, in the sense that I even appear to swallow the words that I come out with. But that's my nature. And somehow, unless as I'm pushed to the wall, I prefer to speak with my voice a bit low. But definitely, when I'm at the wall, you can hear me shout if it's become necessary. So
this particular kind of voice, and I'm saying this advice, is that what you've had all of your life? Is it because of maybe a medical problem that it doesn't seem very distinct?
Yes, I don't think it's like that. I've realized that I have a few brothers and sisters. Indeed, some of my brothers also talk like that, and I've said it's not only me. It's typical of maybe of my brothers and sisters.
As a lawyer, does it come as a disadvantage because you have to argue in court?
I don't think it's a disadvantage. People manage to hear me. Judges hear me. My opponents, other counsel, they do hear me. As I said, even in Parliament, they do hear me. Sometimes even when you're on the bench, I'm told, the lower your voice, people strain their ears to listen to you. I've seen some judges, very good judges. For example, the late Chief Justice, F.K. Apalu. You can hardly hear him. But judges, among lawyers, they strain to listen to him. And that makes the courtroom itself, it adds some kind of mystique to the courtroom drama and so forth. I don't know, but it's my nature. That's my voice. And
I feel comfortable talking to you because you're just like me. I mean, your height, you're smallish.
Oh, I'm a little taller than you are.
So how old are you?
Well, I'm now 53. I'm getting to 54. In September, I'll be 54.
September 2005, 54.
Yes.
Well, so in a minute, tell me just who is Freddie Blay then?
That's a difficult question to ask. Freddie Blay is the one you are looking at and you are seeing. just an ordinary citizen of this land, maybe a parliamentarian, and I happen to be the first deputy speaker. I used to be the second deputy speaker. Now, I'm the first deputy speaker. Maybe a little because I'm the chairman of the appointments committee, which is now a bit controversial, then people tend to notice me. But other than that, I will have passed along other people, many people, and you wouldn't see who.
Tell me about your family.
It's unless you ask specific questions.
Your mother, your father, is it a big family or small family?
An African family, it's a big family. I'm among 7 other boys and 3 girls. One is already dead. I have my big sister, Lucy Blay, is a lawyer. I have a bigger brother, Eddie Blay, who used to be a boxer. He called himself the black sheep of the family, but he's a very brilliant sportsman. I have my bigger brother too. There are 2 of them, they are twins. Leo Blay and it used to be called Moses Leo Blay and Daniel Blay. Then there is another brother, Abe Blay. Then comes me. Then after me, there is one young brother too called Sammy Blay. He's in Australia. He's teaching law. And I have a younger sister too. Here we are.
So, how about your European style family?
Well, what do you mean by
children,
European style family? Talking about my nucleus family as it is now. Yes, I'm married to Mrs. Gina Blay with 3 kids, 2 boys and a girl.
Mr. Blay,
I have a lovely family, I would say.
Yeah.
Yes.
You've heard of Ray Charles. Do you like his music?
I love his music, Ray Charles.
Someone tells me when you were in school, you used to play his music back at Legon.
You are absolutely right. My brother, I learned that from my bigger brother, Eddie Blay. When I was a young boy, he used to have a pack of Ray Charles records, long plays. And earlier on, I didn't like them then. I thought they were a little boring. But over time, I got used to it, and I loved them. Ray Charles, cool voice, smooth lyrics.
Recently, his last album won a lot of awards. You were glad?
As I said, I just loved. I saw him when he came to Ghana.
What's the attraction?
I don't know. As I say, he's a mystic man. Ray Charles is a natural musician. When you see his handicap, because he is blind, but full of life, vigor, and that one is even not a handicap. He acts naturally, except when he's playing his music. Then it looks like somebody who is, I would say, possessed. And
I'll stop you there. You know, this is the first time you are using gestures ever since we started the interview. Obviously, that's coming from your heart. So
well, I told you when I'm on the wall,
yeah,
you'll hear my voice loud and clear.
31st December 1981, where were you?
31st, I was in Accra.
When you heard of the coup d'etat
yes,
by
I was
Rawlings.
in Accra. I was in Accra. I used to practice in Takoradi here, and I'd gone on a visit.
Lawyer?
Yes, as a lawyer. Yes, I'm still a lawyer. And I went on holidays in Accra for the New Year because my bigger brother and sister were ministers in that government. Then I used to go and visit them. Then, indeed, I went there living with my cousin and good friend Cabral. I got up in the morning around 10, 11. I went to this station with him to fetch something, I don't know, to buy something. Then I heard that there was a coup. That was the first time that I heard that. And soldiers were crisscrossing the streets and so forth. I thought it was a joke, but getting to the later part in it, I heard some, gunshots and big sounds and so forth. I realized that it was real. My sister was not around.
Cabral, whom you just mentioned, says Cabral Blay here, who is now the ambassador to
the High Commissioner to
Sierra Leone. High Commissioner to Sierra Leone. He says he was with you when you both heard that Rawlings had staged a coup.
That's true. That's very true. We heard of it, and we were together. And
I just happen to have that book written by Cabral here. And I want to show you something in it. I'm sure that the editors will make sure they see what I'm showing. It's a picture.
Yes.
Do you remember this picture?
Very well. Of course, that's me and Cabral. I looked very
Where
young.
was that?
We were on Legon campus, sitting in Kwafu Hall, on one of the blocks there.
Which year was that?
I think that should be in either 73 or 70. I think it's 73, 74. That may be the time.
32 years ago.
Several years ago.
And that's how you chose to dress?
At that time, it was fashionable. I chose to be fashionable at that time. And I dressed like that, you know.
So, which school did you
attend? I didn't appear to be too much of a ruffian then. But maybe now looking back, you may see that dressing that way wasn't the best.
Well, I'm not going to accuse you. Yes. But which school did you attend before going to the University of Ghana?
I went to a couple of schools. Born and bred in Secondary. I was sent to Zima for a while, came back to Secondary, went to Escado Primary School, and left again, went to Zima, to Ikwe Catholic School, and from there I left to Adesada College. I stayed there for 7 years. From there I went to the university.
From Adesada?
That's right.
I see. So what are some of the most significant things you remember as a student back in the early 70s at the University of Ghana?
Many, but I can mention just a few. Of course, I was a student politician then. Me and Cabral, as you could see, who had been involved in the student politics for quite a long time. I stood for an election as student movement for student, as president of President Movement for African Unity. And then later on, in the second year also, I stood for the position of SRC presidency. I couldn't win. I lost by a few votes. Yes, I lost to a very good friend of mine, Atudazi then. He was then in the fourth year. It's only Commonwealth. Atudazi,
is it the same man who became Chief of Staff for Rawlings?
Yes. Atudazi beat me by a few votes, thanks to Commonwealth.
The Vandals.
Vandals, who voted en bloc. I had only 4 votes in Commonwealth. But I did well, and later on I stood again in the fourth year, and I won the presidency. I was involved in the student politics for quite a time. They were interesting, exciting days. I wouldn't say that I loved them too much, because at certain times we were going on demonstrations, and when you were outside, we felt there's an agitation here. When you hear any noise in the campus, you panicked. You know, I developed even a stomach ulcer. But at the same time, it was almost like an addiction. Got involved in public life. I loved it.
You love politics?
I loved it.
Okay, we'll talk about the politics soon, but you are the chairman of the Appointments Committee in Parliament vetting President Kufuor's nominees. What qualified you to have that position?
It wasn't a question of qualification. It's the standing orders of Parliament provides that the Appointments Committee should be chaired by the First Deputy Speaker. It's a very significant committee among the committees. You know, the Appointment Select Committees chaired by the Speaker, the Appointment Committee by myself, the Business Committee by the Leader of the House. So it's one of the significant committees in Parliament.
So therefore, it's almost automatic.
It's automatic. When you are First Deputy Speaker, you chair.
You now have a new boss in Parliament. I mean, the Speaker, Sechi Higgs, who's also from the Western region. Tell me about Peter Lajete, the former Speaker. Do you miss him?
That's an unfair question to ask, honestly. I wouldn't say I miss him or I don't miss him. I learned a lot from him. I respected him as my speaker. He had his own style, different from the present Speaker.
What did you learn from him?
Well, he controlled the House in a way. You know, when you have about 200 then members, Some tend to even challenge your authority. Others, if you are not very careful, will put up a conduct that will make the house become uncontrollable. He had a ricoting, strong voice that he commanded the respect of the members.
Honorable order, isn't it?
To some extent, that was a style he had. And you learn a little from that as well. But as I said, this is style. Not everybody will have that same style. The present speaker...
Could he have been a better speaker?
I think, as I said, it's not fair to say could he have been a better. He was a good speaker. And the present speaker is also a good speaker, has his own style.
Is it true that
makes people more relaxed and so forth?
Is it true that he favored the NDC as a minority in parliament against the NPP?
I wouldn't say so. It would not be fair.
Why did he become a favorite of the NDC?
I wouldn't say he was a favorite of the NDC.
Because they chose him.
Well, that's part of the game. I would say that it was a chess game, indeed. Like when your friend chooses the other one, you prefer to choose the other one. Definitely, there was no love lost between him and the NDC. But as I said, it was a political statement.
Why didn't the NPP choose him? Why did the NPP
I
want
will
him?
not be in a position to answer that. Definitely a whole lot of things went into that decision. It was the leadership of Parliament itself that decided on that. And behind the scenes, I'm talking about the caucus, decided on that. They took several other things into consideration, several factors into consideration. And they decided that, why not, this time round, this is the man we want. It's a new parliament, mind you. So we have 250 members. We used to have 230 members. We used to have 200. A lot of people have come in, about 100 and something new members. Some decided that this is the way we want.
So how's your new boss, Beniza Sechi Higgs, doing?
Very fine. I want to be very honest with you. Maybe it's because we all come from Takoradi here. I've known him when I was just a student. He was a lawyer.
But he doesn't know much. Is he learning? Or he's now learning, is he?
Everybody learns. And I could say that if you are new to Parliament now, you come and see the Right Honorable Sechi Hughes in the chair, you may think he's been there for 20 years. He's a lawyer of good standing. Very, very suave, extremely understanding, is not rude, and has command of the House. I believe he's doing very well. I am convinced he's good for the job.
Is there unity in Parliament?
What?
Unity in Parliament right now?
I don't understand what you mean by unity, but definitely we are tolerating each other. We work together.
Is it tolerance?
We are tolerating each other. We have to. This is a country where we all have a stake in. We are all stakeholders. We are representing various constituencies. And we try, there are competing demands on the economy, on several other things. We try to I would say, to merge all, to harmonize it, and let things happen for this country so that we build a strong and prosperous nation. So far, I think we are doing well. We may differ based on our political backgrounds, even from the homes that we come from, our own education, cultural background. But as a melting pot of people in that chamber, so far so good. It is good that we have Parliament in this country.
At some point, it was thought that you were a candidate for the new Speaker of Parliament, but it was another Westerner, probably a senior friend of yours?
Yes, of course, my name was also mentioned. I was excited about it. I felt honored to be mentioned. But why not? A lot of other people have been mentioned. I'm still, I wouldn't say I'm too old. I'm still young. I would have loved to be a speaker. Why not? Because definitely if you're a deputy, you prefer the speaker. But still you have time to learn. And if one speaker also comes around, you must work with that speaker, love him. And I'm happy that it is rather such you than any other person.
So you didn't prefer Alajete?
I wouldn't say so. As I said, I am happy that I know him. He's been from Takoradi.
Is it a Western region, Takoradi?
As I said, when you know
solidarity.
Somebody, I wouldn't say solidarity. When you, like me, I've known you as a pressman. You've interviewed me a couple of times. I'm much more at home with you. I definitely had worked also with Right Honorable Peter Lajete. I've got to know him, but definitely know Right Honorable Sechi Hughes better, and I'm at home with him.
So really, how significant is it being First Deputy Speaker of Parliament?
Some say it's not significant, but I say that it's part of the Constitution. That's one of the offices that the Constitution has provided for, that is the Speaker and the Deputy Speakers. That's significant. Among 230 members, after the Speaker, you also have the privilege of sitting in the chair and chairing affairs in the House. I think that it's an honor, and therefore I place some value on that. I'm happy I'm the First Deputy Speaker.
What kind of powers do you have as the First Deputy Speaker, especially in the absence of the Speaker?
You do all the things that the Speaker used to do, except that maybe you take some decision. You must, in the chair, you can do anything that the Speaker is doing or is supposed to do. You chair and then manage affairs. You conduct proceedings. You chair the conduct of proceedings in the House. A few other things that the Speaker does outside the House, if he's not there, he may have the privilege of doing it. Unless, of course, he will insist that he wants to come and do it himself, or he should stay the proceedings until he himself takes the chair and do other things. Naturally, you are in charge. You are the Speaker when the Speaker is not there. That's what it is.
First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Freddie, what's Blay? If you don't know his name, well, that's one more, not just Freddie Blay. When we come back, we'll look at how he was beaten during the revolutionary period by a man called Akatapori. And we'll look at his future also when we come back on Hot Seat.
Hey, and then the smoothness. And then the perfect. Hey! Yeah, South Africa, Joe. That's South Africa, there. Now, because South Africa, I'm cutting. I'm saying, Skyy Milk Star CMS. So we in South Africa free one. Ghana, and you both got a share Pama Milk Star. And you know what? Some say I did go there. Now, your perfect smoothness. It's me and you know, Ghana for 140 million bottles. I mean, you only get a good source. I'm a boss of Akuna Namintian and Crawford.
At the Panatone, it's not made the CMS, and one I'm the winded down.
Samaka, way I have perfect smoothness. Dear Tianetia, no more beyond confusumo. Monquaso, Alpha boss and the secretary, and check the smoothness level. And so, Numa, I call you. Wait till I can say, Castle Milk Star, I just gone cry. And the challenger, no challenger, no challenger. It is a senum. I can't be a son. So when you smooth start, I wow that was swap. Also to me now, smooth boss. And another smooth boss. Not secretary, no, a trottosso. There can you know there, a extra.
Castle Milk Star, perfectly smooth.
For over 25 years, Nulek Industries has been producing and marketing the highest quality products driven by Japanese engineering and technology. With a range of state-of-the-art window and split air conditioners, refrigerators and freezers, electric and gas cookers, small screen to mega screen televisions, super slim DVD players, standing, ceiling, table and wall fans, and audio and video cassettes. All products carry 1-year warranty, after-sales service guaranteed. Nulek, the trusted name for high quality.
Welcome back, and it's still Hot Seat, and sitting on the hot seat is the First Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Honorable. Right Honorable, probably, is it?
Honorable.
Honorable.
It's only the Speaker who is
it's
right
only the Speaker. It's only when you become the Speaker that you also become Right Honorable.
That's right.
Freddie Blay.
Yes.
What's the name?
If ever I will be.
Okay. So, sir, is it true you were beaten during the revolutionary period?
Yes, I wouldn't say beat. I was assaulted for sure. It was a very bad assault on us. You know, we were sleeping in the night, and then one at dawn, about 2 a.m., and then Cabral's house was invaded by...
His house at where?
in Nima residential area, near behind Akufado's house. And was surrounded, the house was surrounded by soldiers, apparently in 2 Pinsquares. And they came to the house looking for Kukubakum, as it were.
Why did they want Kukubakum?
Apparently, I'm told that they were saying that Kukubaku has been involved in planning to overthrow then the PNDC. It was around 5th of February, that was, or 5th of January, I'm not too sure the time, or 5th of February, that's right. And they came to the house. The night before, Kukubaku had come to me and indicated that he was leaving Accra. We've been told by the same Akatapore that they should leave town because if he did not do that, they were going to track him down and maybe kill him. They belonged to an organization called the Munas. Munas was set up by Boachijan and Kukubaku and his friends. I wasn't a member of the Munas, but I was a good friend of Kukubaku. Kukubaku was my younger brother's classmate, the one in Australia. So he used to be with us, spend some time with us when he was in school. So when he came to me, he said that he wanted to go to Ivory Coast, go to Alphasne and stay there for a while, maybe slip out to Ivory Coast. If I don't mind, he would be in my house in Takoradi. I said, why not? If that is what you decide to do. I'm in Accra, but there are people in my house. Go there. I talked to them. I said, when Kukubaku comes, they should open my house to him and let him stay there as long as he wished. That same night, apparently, somebody had already reported that he was leaving town, and they wanted to grab all of them. There were about 7 of them. So they came to the house to look for Kukubaku. They didn't find him. I told them that he was not in my house. He slept at second day. They couldn't believe me, so they said I'm lying. And then they gave us a good beating. One soldier called, in fact, this one was among them, Jiwa, and is Sergeant Tawa, and so forth. They came with this young man you just mentioned, that is Akatapore. And they arrested us, they took me away and put Cabral and Co. in prison in Nima police station. They took me to Sakandi. Fortunately, when we came, we saw Kukubaku in my house. Instead of leaving me, they said, no, I should join them. So they put us all in jail. They incarcerated us in Burma camp for a year, me for a year before they left me. Kukubaku spent more than a year, about 3 years. Blay, 2 years. Others also, Bramadulabi and Abele, they also spent. Yeah.
Again, I've just been looking through Cabral's book again, your cousin Cabral Blay here.
Yes.
And let me read this to you from page 135. It says, by the way, where is your brother Wasimeu? Yeah, that's Freddie Blay.
Yes.
You said it's your name. And then he's in his room. I quickly responded. Leading the way, we went to the adjoining room where Freddie had retired to bed that evening, but like Houdini, he was nowhere. I could see anger on the face of Alolga and his mates when they discovered an empty room. Where had Freddie gone? The answer was provided in a flash. We stepped out of the room into the living room to find a half-naked Freddie in the arms of a soldier. Apparently, Freddie had been up to something that I didn't know of 2 nights before. We had discussed without any justification, since we were not under any threat, escape plans should soldiers come to the house. Freddie had identified the window of the bathroom, which was big enough for one to slip out, as the best medium, and this is exactly how he chose his escape route when he suspected the invasion was on. you were what?
Right.
According to me, half naked? And
well, I was wearing just pants, you know. And then,
why was the soldier holding you?
Yes, I do remember now. What happened was that, like you said, we discussed it in the night, that assuming soldiers invade us, I think we were just, our 5th sense was telling us that it could happen, assuming, because I had left secondary, I was politically active, Cabral wasn't too active then. And I said, assuming soldiers went, because people have been arrested here and there. So we said, look, if they come and knock at our door, I'll pass through the bathroom and leave. And that's exactly what I did. Pass through the window. When I jumped out, I saw one young friend called Nat Ayevo. He was then standing outside. He had brought the soldiers there. So I asked him, what is happening? I said, look, they've come to arrest us. While we were talking, Sergeant Awayoko came to me and said, are you there, Mr. Blay? I said, yes. So they grabbed me. That's what happened and brought me back.
So it means you knew Alolga Katapori very well.
At that time, I didn't know him that much.
I mean, you met him?
Later on, I did. I met him. He met me in prison himself.
How long were you in prison? Which prison?
For a year.
Which prison?
Came to meet me in Usher Fort prison.
Why were you put in prison?
Well, I told you, that's the story. They were looking for young men, Kukubaku and Co., who were members of Bonus. Kwesi Pratt, I must say, had come to tell them that these people are planning to make a coup or in Lagos.
That is including you?
I was not part of it.
You were not part of the Monas?
Yes.
What did the Monas stand for?
Movement for African something. I can't be very sure about the full name. But it's for...
So without trial, you were in prison for...
a year. I was lucky, just for a year. Others were there for 4 years, 3 years. So I consider that
and
I'm not bitter.
I see some bruises. I mean, well, remnants of bruises on your arm. Has that got anything to do with your beating or assault?
This one, we were traveling to Tamale for heritage to go and do politics in Tamale. And on the way to Tamale, we had an accident on Kintampo. A friend of mine died on the spot. My best friend that I've had, called a champion. Bafo a champion. He died on the way. And the driver also died. Me, Blay, and a few others were in the car. We were lucky, and I had only bruises.
So you survived.
Survived it.
If you didn't survive, you wouldn't have become the politician that you are.
I was the politician then. We were going to do politics.
Well, I mean, to this extent.
Maybe I wouldn't be here talking to you.
So, Freddie Blay, what informs your political convictions?
One, I'm public-spirited, I must say. It's been an addiction, and I've loved the public life, giving service to people, teamwork, and making sure that when people are happy, you also feel a little happy. I have a feeling that the best you can do in your short life is to give a little more service to your people.
And they say you politicians, when you say service, it's actually selfishness, because a lot of you politicians are selfish.
Well, that's an opinion people share. It's not always the case. It's a love-hate kind of relationship. Your opponents will say so, that politicians are selfish. But not in all cases. Some can turn out to be selfish. Some can be very narrow in their approach towards stance. Some can only see their interests, and beyond that, nothing else does happen.
And you are an Nkrumahist?
Yes, I am.
Why are you?
Naturally, I come from Western region. I come from Nzima area. I've been influenced by the area. When you have somebody who is a hero, sort of, and it comes from your area, you tend to say you like him. You tend to associate with the person. If you go outside Ghana, you hear of a footballer like Abedi Pele. I was in Europe once a while, and you say from Ghana, I say, well, Abedi Pele. When you go somewhere, you say, you mention that you come from Ghana, it's Kwame Nkrumah. If you mention it at the moment, somewhere you say from Ghana, it's Kofi Annan. You tend to identify. Here was somebody who comes from my area and did well for this country. So identify with it. But beyond that, at school, when he got himself involved in student politics and so forth, read a few books about what he did, that is giving service to a greater number of people. I come from an area that is considerably very, very poor. It is a depressed economy and so forth. So you identify with most people. So anybody whose politics tend to be for the people, tend to fight for a greater number of the people, poor people, you identify with it.
It's in Nkrumah's
and let
politics.
me finish with that. I'm saying that kind of politics is what I saw in Kwame Nkrumah's politics. I've read a lot about that, and I tended to be more inclined towards it.
So you thought Nkrumah's politics was correct?
That is my conviction, absolutely. But looking back, of course, there were mistakes that were made.
It's called Nkrumahism.
That's what we chose to call it at that time. And
how relevant is it today?
Extremely relevant. Quite a few months ago, was it a few years or a few months ago, there was when we were talking about Ghana's budget. My very good friend, Dr. Ndum, we were together then discussing a few things in Parliament. That's right. And he brought a 7-year development plan, very simple book. But 7-year development plan, we look at it as if it's today, it's breathing today. It tells of what we are discussing now. It calls for bringing the economy up, making sure there is full employment, if not full employment, employment for even importing labor from West African countries, some other countries in the sub-region, ensuring that industry is picking up, ensuring that education is accessible and indeed reachable to everybody in this country, ensuring the health facilities and everything in this country good, schools, everything else. And I've said, why not? They are still relevant. That's what we are still struggling over. We still want to provide school for people and employment for the industries, to rely on Ghanaians, African personalities, so that people will feel good as Ghanaians and as Africans. If these things are not relevant, I don't know what else is relevant. Maybe the central, at the moment, the problem is every generation has its own problems and maybe style for the solutions of the problems that we encounter. At this point in time in the world that we live in, the centrally planned economy is becoming some sort of anathema. People say it is no more relevant. It doesn't help. The style is changing. And for that reason, one would say that you need to change a little. But essentially, Nkrumah wasn't a communist as such.
But
definitely. So
the allegation is rife that those so-called negative communist elements are very much, or Nkrumah is very pregnant with communism.
I'm saying that that's not the case. I say there were mistakes that were made. Maybe it was not necessary for us to have a one-party state, which went on. It wasn't really necessary to have a PDA that we had, detention of which a lot of people suffered under that. These are some, looking back, I'm saying, but one will not start in judgment of what happened because the circumstances were different now. But definitely I will not go in for unbridled socialism, communism, and so forth. But I will organize, if I have the opportunity, I will be part of any organization or any system that will make sure that greater service to the greater number of people. And I will definitely go for that.
You say in the past mistakes were made within the Nkrumahist context. Are you yourself, as an Nkrumahist, making a mistake today?
Well, why not? Everybody will make mistake.
Mistake that can be corrected.
For
example, let me state the example that you are an Nkrumahist, but you seem to be identified very much with the ruling NPP.
Oh yeah. I will not deny that. I wouldn't, I'll plead guilty to that, but I don't think that is a mistake. Looking at...
What is good about it?
What is good about it?
When you could hold on to your own?
I'm not too sure you understand what is happening. It's not a question of holding on to your own. Honestly, for example, if some of us are not identified and work collaborated with the present NPP regime, maybe we may not be MPs that you are talking to, one of which you are talking to. Now, when we collaborate, it's critical support for this government, for what it's doing. For this country has gone through a kind of experience where soldiers have taken up guns and overthrown the regime of, for example, Dr. Liban. And that government, that military government had been in power for 11 years or 12 years, and later on turned itself into civilian government for
another 8 years. So you're starting a long story. Would that justify?
Let me make a point.
Identifying with
Please, let me make a point. If you're listening, I will come to that. Now, we had to collaborate. We have to combine forces. Those who believed in freedom, who believe in constitutionalism, those who want the military to go to the background and rather have freedom of speech and so forth and so on, we have to come together to fight the military regime. And members of the New Patriotic Party believed in that. I had been in parliament with them. I had been in the trenches with them. We've worked together. A lot of the policies that they stood for, I believe in them. Indeed, if my mentor and the one that we refer to as Kwame Nkrumah Sajafo. If he had been in existence, I believe this is the line that you will have pursued.
No, but
these
your
are some of
party
the
says
things
that you are a rebel. Let
me finish.
Suggest that you should be sacked from the party.
Well, I'm now sitting here. I'm the member of parliament for that party. Only the three of us who stood on our grounds and pursued that line, we are the only people that the party can stand and be proud of. Where else? And we were pursuing that line, advocating, so that some of them agrees. If the leadership had agreed with us, and we had sat down with the NPP and done some kind of sharing, collaboration, horse trading, maybe you would have had about 20 or 30.
Then you would have been cheating the NPP?
How do we cheat them? They will have, indeed, what will have happened is that we have won many of the seats that the NDC won. They are what I would refer to as fringe seats. We will have won them. For example, John Morris seat we could have won easily if we had collaborated. And there were a few other chiefs, even in the Volta region, we could have also done very well. In the northern region, it could have happened that way. If we have collaborated, CPP could have done far better. We will have been more relevant in parliament now. Maybe prepare ourselves for future elections. That is the
so
problem. So
you feel satisfied that it vindicates you? I mean, the present circumstance.
I feel sorry. I won't say it vindicates me. I feel sorry that it never happened that way, and our party remains still not very relevant. If it has happened, it's a pain. I feel that it hurts that it didn't happen that way, and we have to go through the rigmarole again, and people are talking about reorganization and so forth. We missed the boat, and I'm sorry we missed the boat. It doesn't vindicate me. Of course I'm vindicated, but I'm not happy. I'm not reveling in that. I thought if we had taken that point, me and my friends who were advocating for that could have done better. Our party would have been more relevant, and you wouldn't have said that it's a mistake we have made. So definitely it wasn't a mistake.
In the aftermath of you, the rebels, the three rebels.
Well, I wouldn't even call myself rebels. Rebels, you could, if you want to call them.
Rebels in
yes, we represent,
your party.
I would say that we represent the mainstream of our party, because those of us who advocated for that line, we had more votes in our constituency. CPP was more relevant in those constituencies.
So in the aftermath, has your party met you maybe as the MPs representing the party?
They had, but I feel sorry.
Have they said, oh, we apologize to you, oh, this?
One will not insist on, unless, of course, you want to say I'm vindicated. I don't have to insist on. I said we made a mistake.
Have they discussed a way forward for your party with you?
We are still in the process of discussing the way forward and so forth. But definitely we missed the boat. Definitely. It was a mistake.
Well, some people also accuse you that because you identify with the MPP, you find it very easy to protect President Kufuor's nominees, including those thought to be unqualified.
Well, this is a free country. It's a freedom of expression. Some have different opinion about what you are doing. We've got, mind you, so far you consider 33 nominees. 30 or thereabout. 34, 30 or 31 were approved by consensus. Are you saying, accusing me that those 33, those 31 that we approved by consensus, I, Freddie Blay, was protecting them? And for that matter, the consensus was forced from the other side. That's not the case. It's only the controversy rages around the three. That is Honorable Skyy, Honorable Anane, and Honorable Ejumasi, who are also incidentally members of parliament.
Could you have acted in a way that their confirmation will not come off?
Could I have acted? How? I mean, we have a process. We have a procedure we go through. And I was extremely honest to the procedure. We stuck to it. Indeed, people were only asking opinions. It's not a question of opinion. I, as chairman, what I did was, we set up, if we disagree, we go to the meeting, we disagree, we say, okay, let's set up a committee, let's do the investigation on that. We set up a committee to bring their report. Do you consider the report relevant or not? I don't have a veto. I can't myself alone say that I don't agree. Even if I say I have one share, one vote, others have votes each. So anybody who says that you are protecting this and that, I think, as I said, it's an expression and opinion. But it's not very fair to lose office.
And quickly before you go, what do you think is your future, politically, professionally, whatever?
Well, let's talk about more profession. It's profession like a lawyer.
You're afraid of politics?
I'm not afraid of politics, but politics
so what's your future?
You can't determine that. Anytime at the moment, serving my people as a member of parliament, I'll do as much as I could to win their support and their blessing of what I'm doing. But beyond that, one cannot predict what will happen. I will take on the bull by the horn whenever the time comes. But I definitely agree with the president, which is these are exciting moments. These are very interesting moments, challenging moments. And we swim along. We will face the tides. We will swim along the tide as well if it's necessary. But definitely politics remain interesting. I'm not tired of it. It's a little bit, sometimes you feel a bit down when things aren't going right, when people criticize you unjustifiably. But on the whole, I definitely don't feel sad that I'm in this game, except that sometimes you lose your own individual personality. People tend to be too curious when you pass around, and you are not comfortable. You are with that. And you yourself, your own economy sometimes is sacrificed if you are not very careful. You ignore your family. You ignore your responsibility to your family, and indeed your immediate, not only your immediate family, but even your extended family system. But it's a service to the nation, and I'm in it. But professionally, you are hurt a bit, in a sense that you don't have time to practice your own profession as a lawyer. And your chambers go down. People whom you started with are doing very well, having more clients and so forth. But you can't have it all, you know. You lose some, you gain some. So I'm along. I'm coasting along.
Freddie Blay is going to be losing some, gaining some. He says he's going to be holding the bulls by the horn. He is the Member of Parliament for Blay here in the Western region. He is also the chairman of the Appointments Committee in Parliament, the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament. He's been my guest today on Hot Seat. Well, sir, thank you very much for coming around.
Thank you.
Hopefully we'll get
I would say you ambushed me, but I hope I proved a bit
equal to the task.
So,
Freddie Blay has been my man on the hot seat today, and he says he's going to lose some, gain some. Someday we'll find out whether he's gained more or lost more. Well, my name is Phillip Nyakpo, and it's been another edition of Hot Seat with the Member of Parliament for Blay here in the Western region, the first Deputy Speaker in Parliament and Chairman of the now controversial Appointments Committee vetting President Kufuor's nominees for ministerial appointments. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye for now.